Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday night virtual pipe club, the first and best virtual pipe club in the YTPC, and the only one that guarantees that you get 100% of the value of your dues. How you all doing tonight? I hope your week has been a good one, and you're looking forward to a nice, relaxing weekend. I know I am certainly looking forward to that. it's been uh, it's been a interesting week for sure. So, and I'm sure that many of you have had interesting weeks too. So how we doing out there? Let's see. We got lots of guys in already. 26 folks already in here. Cliff Higgins, Paul the Piper. Hello, guys. Cogs and Sprockets, Chris 62154, Tony 513, Pipes and Bees, Ford Smoking Pipes, JMZ 56. Good to see you guys. Bona Piper, I think I got you already, but good to see you too. Good to see you again. Tony 513, Chuck, Armchair Piper, Briar Fiend, the Hat Piper, Big Dave, Smoking Kentucky Piper, Full Doddle, Everett Young, Meerschaum Mountaineer, Kilted Piper Steve. Good to see you guys. Jack Kurtz, how you doing, buddy? And Voodoo 7 made it. Good to see you. Tom Piperson 46. I hope you don't mind if I start while you guys are filing in. Andrew Charter, looking forward to another fun hour. Me too, Andrew. Hope one of us can produce one. Big Dave, we're allowed out. We're just not allowed. There's just nowhere to go because everything is closed. Cliff just gave away my big announcement. Yeah, so I'm having another Yingling because that's what's in my fridge right now, and it's easy. But today is actually National Moonshine Day. I'm sure you all knew that. You probably all exchanged cards and things like that. Although I didn't actually get any cards. Did anyone other than me and Cliff know that it was National Moonshine Day? Dead silence. No one knew. Happy Firewater Day. There you go. Well, it is National Moonshine Day, and I had this distant memory. Actually, was chatting with Cliff this morning, and he let me know that it was National Moonshine Day. And I had this distant memory that my wife had bought some moonshine at some point that we had never opened, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna open that up tonight and have some. So I am gonna do that, but it's a little disappointing. So this is Country Hammer Moonshine. This is bottled and blended in Laurel Highlands, Clareton, Pennsylvania. It is, let's see, 35 proof, 17.5% alcohol by volume. But as you can see, it's not clear, it's white. And it's white because it is flavored moonshine. Adult chocolate milk. I don't know. We're gonna try it. I'm not a fan of flavored drinks or flavored alcohols, but hey, let's give it a try. Big Dave, I think you've thoroughly celebrated the holiday. So Cliff, should I pass on the the adult chocolate milk? I'm trying to decide. I hate to. I would hate to get sick on a live stream, but I've gone this far. And now I've taken the protective seal off, so I kind of have to see what we got here. It smells like, smells very similar to eggnog. I'm actually fairly impressed with how well I was able to pour that, given that it's a wide mouth jar. And of course I'm going to have my adult moonshine in a festive Scotland shot glass because it is kind of thick like milk. I'm a little afraid of this. I'm wishing someone would talk me out of this, but well, anyway, here's the National Moonshine Day, and here's to all of you, my friends. Yeah. It's let's just say I'm going to have a pipe now. It's not bad. It's just like a very vodka-y eggnog, which doesn't make a lot of sense because eggnog usually doesn't have vodka in it, but you know what I mean. Stanikowski pipe. I promise not to pass out ever. Let's see, Monty 53 Piper. I don't think we said hello to you. Tamper Tantrum. Good to see you, Jeff. Ralph Lauro. Glad you made it, Ralph. Couch. Couch, you're early tonight. Good to see you. So I am currently packing this Stanikowski, I hope I'm saying that right, pipe, which was actually a gift from my friend Bona Piper, and I am packing it with Bayou Morning. Jimmy Tabacchi, how you doing, buddy? Piano Piper, good to see you. 2 a.m. pipe on the patio, good to see you too. Gus Evening, Desert Pine Piper. Great to see all you guys. Couch says he didn't work today, just moved cigars into the house. Couch, based on the pictures I've seen of your tobacco cellar, moving cigars into the house could possibly count as work. Where's my temper? Pipes and Bees says that moving his pipe collection would count as work. Finding my pipe collection would count as work. I've got it spread all over the house. Piper on the 45. How you doing, buddy? WKR Piper, if Harry Carey told you to do it, you should definitely do it. He was quite a man. Yeah, 2 a.m. pipe on the patio. I needed to clean mine. Spent some time on that today. It's funny, when you clean other people's pipes, you wind up not cleaning your own, and it gets quite bad. Paragon Piper's having some small batch Virginia with Perique in a Stanwell. Sounds good. So this was not the worst thing I've ever tasted by far, but I wouldn't recommend going out and buying it. I just like my spirits clear. I don't really like mixed drinks very much. Everett, is that going to cause panic at smoking pipes? Favorite planet is the sun. That's great. Oh, you like the stem clip? Glad to hear it. Gus Evening's having some of the HH Rustica. I actually have my tin right here, and I decided to try drying a couple of flakes, so I'll be getting into that a bit later. Everett, you enjoying that Byzantium, I see. Rob Austin, good to see you. Barworks Country Lawyer. Uncle John, good to see you. St. Bruno's and a Bell's Two Hearted. And Joffrey Feinberg, hi, how you doing, buddy? Monty 53 is having the haunting. Nick Brett's smoking Firestorm. Russ saw that. Couldn't figure out what RO meant. Sunset Harbor Flake. That's a nice one. Salty Dogs. Good choice, Christian. Yeah, Everett, I fully expect Steve to like show up in my house when I open the tin. He seems to really have a problem. No worries, Onion. I'm glad to hear that. I do think that's the right choice. But glad I could help. Kitty, good to see you there. Hello. Thanks for being up this late or this early. Gus, are you asking me? I got it here. I've got the spare medic and I keep grabbing it because it's in my spot where I grab lighters. Oh, Rob, I hope you like it. You saw the pictures, so I think you'll be happy. Oh, you can't sleep, Kitty. Sorry to hear that. But it's nice that you could join us for a bit. Philadelphia Piper, hello there. Now I'm being told if you lost me. There, yeah, now you're all popping back in. There's some network issue, I guess. Do I know where my Zippo flints are? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Thank you. And I even have some extras that I think it was, I can't remember who sent them to me, but somebody kindly sent me 2 extra flints to keep. What's the matter there, Pipes and Bees? Have you mislaid your own? Will we be getting that? Which story is that, Paragon Piper? You should interview myself. that, that would not be easy, Chuck. Pipe Nook, good to see you, Eddie. Jojo Piper, how you doing? Jeffers 58, thank you, Jeffers. Boris the Piper, 3:15 a.m. turning to morning. Sunrise is at 4. I really appreciate you Boris, tuning in all the way from Helsinki. It's really nice. I must have some interesting stories about life. You'd be surprised at how. Well, I think the funny thing is that most of us think that our stories are pretty mundane and boring, But of course, to somebody that's never heard them, they're interesting. How interesting is a matter of debate, but when you've lived them, you're thinking, well, that's just sort of normal life. But I did, as I'm talking, I remember I was going to tell a story last week about coffee grounds, I think. Is that the one that you guys were asking about? Someone was asking about. Ah, yes, okay. Thanks for the reminder, Paragon Piper. I will tell the story. Mike Clark, good to see you. Cube cut burley in a Neurop pot. Sounds fantastic. Yes, and it's Tony. Tony 513 asked me 2 weeks ago to tell the funniest childhood story. I don't know if it's the funniest one, but it certainly is up there. So I'll tell you this at the outset. One of the things I remember most about my grandparents, and I think I've told you before, I actually used to live every summer with them. So from the time school closed until the time school opened, I went and lived with them. They had this house near the beach in New Jersey, and I used to spend the whole summer with them. And we only lived a few blocks from them the rest of the year, so I used to see them all the time. They were a very big part of my life. And one of the things that I can remember most about them, like a smell that always evokes a memory of my grandparents, is coffee, because they constantly they always had coffee. And anytime there was a party, there was any kind of family gathering or anything, there was that smell of perking coffee that was part of that event, and it's just a very deep sort of sensory memory that I have. And the interesting thing is, my grandfather wasn't a coffee drinker. He actually preferred tea. My grandmother was the coffee drinker, and he would sometimes drink coffee, and she would sometimes drink tea. It wasn't exclusive, but he was. It was my grandmother that made the coffee, and she would often have friends over, and they would all drink coffee, and the rest of the family wouldn't. So this was the house that they lived in Philadelphia. My grandfather was always warning my grandmother, and this goes to the coffee grinds thing that we talked about last week. Like, what do you do with them? He was always warning her not to put coffee grinds down the drain, because it would clog the drain. And she would yell. They had this very interesting relationship that old couples sometimes have, where they seem to communicate best when they're yelling at one another. And she would tell him he was a fool for mentioning it, and of course she wouldn't put coffee grinds down there, and he would walk away, say, I know you're putting those coffee grinds down there. And this just went on for years. I mean, I remember this was sort of one of the arguments that they would have was the coffee grind argument. Don't put coffee grinds down the drain. So one day, probably a weekend, I was visiting, and the sink clogged up. The kitchen sink stopped running. They couldn't get the water to go down. And my grandfather got out the plunger, and I was at that age of like 7 or 8 years old where you're told to go and help, and you know, as a 7 or 8 year old kid, you don't really have much you can do. But you know, so I watched him plunge the sink, and I can remember him plunging it, and the whole time he's, you know, cursing under his breath and saying, coffee grinds, I know it's. So what you got to know about my grandfather is he was bald. I always remember him as being a bald man, and he had that like horseshoe of hair that, you know, very short, kept it very short, and I can see him like plunging this and his head sort of turning red because he's kind of angry about it, and my grandmother's nowhere to be found because she knows what's up, and you know, she got out of there. So he decides that he can't get this clog out, that he's going to have to go down to the basement and actually disconnect pipes. So we do this, and I get relegated to flashlight holding duty. And, you know, at the time it felt kind of dumb when I would be asked to do these things. You know, you'd stand there with the flashlight and you'd think, you know, this isn't really useful. But now I understand it. You know, it's actually just nice to have somebody else there, even if they're not helping, just to have somebody to complain to about the fact that your wife puts coffee grinds down the drain or whatever. So we're there in this like hunched little corner of the basement, and he's, you know, undoing the pipe and the metal pipe, the drain pipe, and he's got I think a coat hanger or something that he was going to snake in through the thing, and he gets this thing off the last bit of the pipe comes loose, and he takes that away, and he goes to set it down, and as he bends over, this large clump of coffee grinds falls and lands right in the middle of his bald head. And it was at once the most horrific and hilarious thing I've ever seen, because I knew he was angry, but at the same time he had to laugh. You know, it was so hilarious to see the thing that he claimed was clogging the sink actually was, and he had proof of it right on the top of his head. So he went marching up the steps to yell. It was really great. So that's my funny childhood story and my coffee grind story. Hope you enjoyed that. Corvette Jim, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, Monty 53, I really appreciate that. That's the reason for it now. Joseph Tamanini got his first tub of Carter Hall. Good deal, Joseph. Yeah, Chris, fortunately the grounds were cool. They cooled him off a bit. That's true, Rob. I will never forget the look on his face when that happened. Oh, glad to hear it, Joseph. That was a struggle. Nah, Jimmy, they had a wonderful, loving relationship that just, you know, we used to joke that moron was a term of endearment around the house. But they loved one another very much. They just didn't show it publicly. I know, Jimmy. I just was commenting on it. I know it was a joke. Oh, Everett, I envy you that. I didn't have. In fact, my grandfather, and I was very close to him, and he was very, very important in my life. He was actually quite anti-smoking. He, he mostly was talking about cigarettes. That's what everybody around us was smoking. And he used to say that you might as well roll up a dollar bill and light it on fire. Boca to Boynton, that's got to be a story. Yeah, Monty 53. It was definitely a an education hanging around him. No, Tony, we fish saltwater a lot, but I didn't start freshwater fishing until after he passed away. We just didn't do that in our family. We were all saltwater fishermen. Yeah, Rob, that was true of my grandparents as well. My grandmother seemed very healthy, but when my grandfather passed, she didn't last long. Well, Joseph, the last time I went fly fishing, I caught a tree. They're easy to catch. It's those tree fish that are elusive. Yeah, land sharks. The Voodoo '07 saying he's lost many a fly in trees. There's a tree. I fish in Valley Forge Park a lot, and there's a tree that eats my flies. And I probably have told this story before, but it's one of my favorite fly fishing stories. I was fishing there once, and I cast, and I got stuck in the tree, and I, tried to be creative about and I finally just yanked. And when the the line came back to me, not only did I still have my fly on the tippet, but it had hooked onto another fly that was in the tree, and it was actually one of my flies. So I actually was able to pull one of my own flies out of this tree. That's how many were in there. You need very small hooks, flatwater Monty. That's cool, Everett. So so both your dad and your granddad were pipe smokers. Yeah, Paragon. I do tie my own. And I still haven't gotten out fishing this year. I was thinking about this weekend, but we've had so much rain, the streams are all going to be blown out. This is a good time in Pennsylvania for the sulfur hatch, early to mid-June. No, Boca, I never fly fished in the salt. I've only done bait fishing in saltwater. I don't think so, Onion. It's not difficult to learn fly fishing. It does take some time. I mean, there's a learning curve, but I think anybody can master it. Well, I shouldn't say master it. Anybody can learn to do it. Mastering it probably takes more time, and I doubt that I personally have mastered it. The weight's all in the line, Jimmy. The line is actually what you're casting, not the fly. Kirk Maxon, having some old dark fire. It sounds good, Kirk. Temper tantrum, is that good or bad for bass fishing? I don't know much about bass. So are they aggressive when they're spawning? Fish bigger than his bait. I've had some pretty small fish in my day, so. Gotcha, Jeff. Beer battered walleye, that sounds good. Berserkly, how you doing out there, buddy? Yeah, I've actually never intentionally fished for bass. I've accidentally caught bass. Well, not accidentally, but incidentally, I guess. I was fishing, so it couldn't have been accident. You know what I mean? I've never gone out to say I'm going to catch a bass, and I usually am trout fishing. Master, oh no, I'm not going to. All right, 2 a.m. pipe on the patio. Thanks for stepping in. And Ford, you have a good night too. Good to see you, buddy. I think we're going to switch to the Hercules. And yeah, we'll see how this rustica does. I took it out right before I went live, so it's not, crispy dry, but it's a bit drier. Andrew Charter is asking, what's my favorite all-day tobacco? It's going to be either Carter Hall or Haunted Bookshop. Tony, the Hercules was a Savinelli second line. I don't think they make them anymore. I could be wrong about that. Joseph Diego Safato. I have, and I know Everett Young has as well. When you get to the nub of the cigar, you just stick it into a pipe and finish it up. Christian, are you serious about that, or are you teasing me? Favorite special occasion tobacco? I don't know if I have a special occasion tobacco, Jeffrey. Oh, good to meet you, Joseph. I kind of know where Broomall, PA is. I'm in Souderton, PA, out near Quakertown. What's been in my cellar for a long time that I haven't cracked open yet? There's a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of stuff in the cellar that I haven't cracked open yet. I mean, I've got some old McClellan Christmas cheer. That's probably some of the oldest stuff I have. When you stick the number of a cigar in the pipe, does it ghost the pipe? I haven't noticed it ghosting, Jimmy. Maybe Everett can weigh in on that as well, but I haven't noticed any ghosting. Armchair Piper's in Newtown. I know Newtown. Actually used to have a girlfriend that lived in Newtown. Long time ago, back when I was in college. Hey, Everett, I'll have you know I have a significant amount of haunted bookshop cellared. It just grows very slowly because it has to get past me to get into the cellar. I can look up what's the oldest thing in my cellar. If I can find the darn website, hang on. Oh yes, I have a list, Pipes and Bees. Uh-oh. But I'm logged out of my list. If I don't know my password, this could get embarrassing. All right, so let's see. Can I sort this by age? And I'm going to the bottom of the list. Ah, here we go. So the oldest thing in my cellar right now is a 12-year-old tin of McCranie's Red Ribbon. And after that, I've got some McBaron honey chocolate that's actually almost gone. And then I've got a Cornell and Deal Mississippi Mud that is 10 years and 4 months old. The problem is, Pipes and Bees is asking what program I'm using. I actually use, it's called tobaccocellar.com. So it's a website where they have a database and you can just select the blend from it, and it's pretty good. The problem with having a cellar like that is that you get to the point where you say, do I want to open this 12-year-old tin or do I want to let it get 15 years old? And I really think there's a bunch of stuff that I'm probably never going to smoke because I just don't want to, I don't want to ruin the fact that it's already sat there for 12 years. "20-year-old Captain Black." Well, maybe it tastes good now. Sorry, Smoking Kentucky Piper. I'm not a Captain Black fan, but I know a lot of guys love it. Yeah, Monty 53. It is free. It's actually a pretty good site. It's worth checking out. No, it doesn't take that much effort, Armchair Piper. When I get stuff that I'm going to cellar, I just put it into the database, and then I put it in the cellar. It's not a problem. Yeah, you could use Google or Excel. I mean, there's 100 different ways to do it. Hey, PBR Street Gang, how you doing, buddy? And the one Simplex one, how you doing? I think I missed you coming in, buddy. Yeah, Cliff, I found some good ones. They're rare, but I have found enough good cherry blends that I don't write them off in general anymore. But by and large, I agree with you. Portsmouth Piper, how you doing? What is nice New England weather? Uh, I mean, my dad lives up in Vermont, and it seems like he's either embedded in ice or it's 85 with high humidity and black flies. Not black flies, deer flies. Yeah, Voodoo, that's the problem. If you've already got a cellar and you want to start using the database, it's a lot of work to get it in. But I did it when I was starting to the cellar thing, so I've had it for a long time. Rob, that makes sense. Any day not snowing. Yeah, Jimmy Tabacchi. I've heard a lot of people say that Culp Blood Red Moon is good, and I never tried it because I I kind of felt like Cliff said that all cherry blends were bad. But I had some recent really good one recently from, I want to say it was Stokeby, and I wrote a blog entry about it. The title of the blog entry was something like "In Defense of God Help Me Aromatics," because I was not a fan of aromatics, and I'm still not. But this cherry blend impressed me. Kitty, go get some rest and take care of yourself. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Tony, you asking about Red Virginia in general? And it tends to be fairly sweet. The bright Virginias are usually more citrusy, tangy. But where the Red Virginia really shines is when it starts to get stoved or fermented, and then it develops a really deep sweetness that I do like. I'm not much of a Virginia guy, but I do like a stoved or a fermented Red Virginia. Full Doddle's got a much better palate than I do. Fire Fiend's asking about ideas for blends to send to a friend in the UK. Well, Paul is our expert on blends you can't get in the UK. Maybe he could make some suggestions. Rob, the only person I mean, you're going to have to probably find a pipe maker to do sandblasting. And the guy that immediately comes to mind is going to be here next week. It's Jason Mouton. I know that he does some sandblasting for his pipes. I don't know if he would do it on someone else's pipe. It's kind of you, Philadelphia Piper. I think everybody should have a chance to try Haunted Bookshop. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week. I think Jason will be quite an interesting guy. I mean, if you've been around for the past few years, you got to actually watch Jason become a pipe maker, and I think he's really become an excellent pipe maker. Yes, WKR Piper. I did say Jason Mouton next week. Hey, Full Smoking Bar. How you doing, Nick? They still working you to death? You're scaring me, Portsmouth Piper. You don't have the whole brewery gathered around. Sorry to hear that, Nick. Jimmy's having some Haunted Bookshop right now. You know, it's funny. It seems like Haunted Bookshop was one of those love it or hate it blends for a long time, and there was a lot of guys that just wouldn't smoke it, and it seems like guys are coming out of the woodwork now, where it's their everyday go-to blend. Just interesting. Sir Walter Raleigh from 1952. That sounds like it was a good find there, Dave. Yeah, Pipe Smoker 795. I have read the book, and it's actually there's another book which I can never remember the title of. That if you're going to read them, you should read the other one first because they actually are sequential. I wish I could remember the name of that. It's a fantastic book. The Haunted Bookshop is a fantastic book. But Parnassus on Wheels. Thank you, Leafenbro. Yeah. So read Parnassus on Wheels first, and then read Haunted Bookshop. Not Haunted Bookshop. That was also an accurate title. Yeah, Philadelphia Piper. I remember Padre Piper not having a very good reaction when he tried Haunted Bookshop. You sure you have enough effort? Flies and windows make Padres. Don't get it, Popo Piper. Well, thank you, WKR Piper. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I think, unlike, I'm confused by unlike McDonald's, but I'll just trust you. Yeah, Everett, it just depends on how long now is, right? Tony, you asking about the Haunted Bookshop and Parnassus on Wheels? Barnes and Noble might carry them. I'm sure they're on Amazon, and they might even be in the public domain. So you might be able to get them through Project Gutenberg, which is a really good site for that sort of thing. It's worth looking. They are public domain, Chad, so yeah, you should be able to find them. Hey, Nick, enjoy your dinner. Thanks for stopping in. It is free on Project Gutenberg, yeah. If you guys haven't, if you like reading, you really should check out Project Gutenberg. It's remarkable what you can find on there. And I've read, I can't think of who wrote the Three Musketeers now, but Dumas. I read most of his work on there. Quite a bit of Tolstoy. I think that's where I read The Haunted Bookshop and Parnassus on Wheels, but I don't remember. It's really remarkable what you can find there. And you can, thanks for stopping in, Boca de Boyton. Good to see you. You can use various e-readers to access the book. So I use one that's called, I think it's called Libre, Libre. And you can just set Gutenberg up as a catalog that Libre can search, and then you can just search from within that application, bring it right up on your phone or tablet, and it's fantastic. It's like free Kindle, and if you like classics, it's a really good way to read. Alexander, yeah, I do remember that, Bonapiper. Hey, Ed, you have a good evening. Thanks for stopping in. Oh, Eddie, the idiot's not. Yeah. Have you read Crime and Punishment? That's a much better one from Dostoevsky. Yeah, it's not Libre. I'm going to look up the app right now because I can't remember what it was called. Oh, it's not. I wasn't even close. It's called Aldiko, Aldiko. It's not even close to Libre, but three burner gas grill there, Kirk. That sounds like a nice Father's Day gift. I don't know, Jimmy. Maybe I am frozen. I seem to be okay here. LibriVox? I don't know that one, Chad. St. Bruno Ready Rubbed. Been seeing a lot of guys smoking St. Bruno lately. Oh, LibriVox is for audiobooks. Yeah, I started a free Audible trial because I've been trying to do walks in the morning, and it was just nice to be able to listen to books while I'm walking. All right, Chad, enjoy the tacos. Have a good night. Pipes, etc. I'm a big fan. I'll just leave it at that. I love those classic looking ones. They're just really cool. Berserkly's asking about Billy Bud. It's a fantastic blend that suffers from having a lot of Kia in it. Is Kirk cooking for all of us on that new grill? Thanks for swinging that, Tony. I look forward to seeing you there. Stephen, having some Mojo Krantz. Good to see you, Stephen. And Eric S., good to see you, buddy. No, I'm not showing off the Fordham tool in this video. Eric saw that I bought a new toy. Oh, I know pipes, etc. I get it, and believe me, I'm okay with it. I'm sure there are people that find it that way, but that's their problem. Yeah, Paragon Piper, the blue. I have had the Billy Bud Blonde, and it is very good. I prefer Haunted Bookshop to it, but it's an excellent blend. And I was only teasing. I don't like a lot of Kia, but Billy Bud is really it's a well crafted blend. Oh, Tony, I'm still waiting for the. I don't know if you saw my video yesterday, but I managed to mash up the display cable in the laptop that I was fixing for my wife, so I had to order a new one, and that's going to take some time to get here. I'm with you on that, Paragon Piper. I could smoke Perique all day, every day, but a lot of Kia just doesn't agree with me. Hey, Piano Piper, thanks a lot for stopping in, buddy. You have a good evening, too. I'm glad to hear that, Christian, because if it's not the cable, I've done something really bad. Hey, Wildcat Sam, how you doing, buddy? All right, Eddie, you have a good night. Thanks for stopping in. That's okay, Cliff. You're allowed to love them both. We won't tell anyone. St. Bruno is like an old leather-bound book. Oh, that sounds very interesting. Actually, Tamper Tantrum, I believe I do have some St. Bruno, don't I? I'll have to give that a try soon. So, Cliff, maybe we should make you a Latakia Perique Cherry Blend and see how that works out. Oh, Everett's saying it's comparable to Condor. I have a plug of Condor that I've been, and I know I've told a few of you about this. I've been avoiding it for years because I've been told it's a Lakeland, and I'm afraid of Lakelands. But I'm going to try it soon. 73 Maple Piper. I don't know. Granger, I've never gotten along with Granger. It just burns really hot for me for some reason. Yes, Annandale Flake scares me, Eric. It does. Yeah, Everett, but I've heard that it's not a very overpowering Lakeland. Tony, are you asking about Lakelands as a category of blends? Because that's they can be quite strong, they can be quite mild, but they all have this unusual sort of topping that's very. And correct me, guys, if I'm wrong about this, because I'm far from a Lakeland expert. But it tends to be very floral, and there are folks that love it, and there are folks like me that are terrified of it because it ghosts your pipe. At least I've been told. Any blends that have more Perique in them than Bayou Morning? Bayou Morning is supposedly like 25% Perique, which is pretty high. I don't know of any that are higher than that. Is Shanae's cake higher in Perique, Cliff? Yeah, there's some of the Lakeland usual suspects from Paragon Piper. Yeah, Jimmy, I have smoked straight Perique. I don't recommend it, not because it was actually difficult, but it just wasn't very interesting. Well, Stephen, get yourself a bag of blending Perique. It's relatively cheap. The Cornell and Deal makes a really nice granulated one, and just mix it in a little bit and see how it goes. Yeah, some of the John Patton blends might be higher. Christian, that's a good point. Oh, Jimmy, you tried it and hated it. I certainly wouldn't seek it out. Perique is a magic fairy dust, yeah. It's amazing. And it's remarkable that we almost lost Perique not that long ago. There's only one farm in Louisiana that grows the tobacco and does the fermentation and all of that. And it was near bankrupt. And I forget, I think his name is Mark Ryan, who's the owner of Daughters and Ryan, bought it and saved it. And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have Perique right now. It's a remarkable story. Cornell and Deal's Old Dark Fired. I don't know. Don't think. I think you're confusing something there, Everett. Tony, I don't know what my plans are this weekend. Paragon Piper, I should probably do that. because I told you guys and you heard in detail last episode with Jeff. I'm toying with growing tobacco, and a lot of guys out there are toying with growing tobacco. I'm sure I could grow burley. I'm sure I'll eventually figure it out, but I'll never be able to make my own perique, and I'd be really sad if I couldn't get perique anymore. So I might just buy 5 pounds of it and jar it up and forget about it. Yeah, Flatwater Monty, it is a mystery. Not the kind of thing you'd wake up in the morning and think I'm going to do. Pipes and bees. Yeah, I will be doing some pipe repair work this weekend. I am really far behind, guys. I think I got 13 pipes in line right now, and I feel bad about that. Yeah, Tony, they're sprouting. They're about maybe an inch and a half tall now. So I'm getting ready to transplant them. And there's some other stuff I got to do out back before I can move them. But with all the bad weather we've had, and I got to do a bunch of yard cleanup, and it's been raining. So we'll see what happens. '73 Maple Piper is saying he doesn't know Orientals. Orientals, they're an interesting tobacco, and they have the different Orientals have very different flavor profiles. So I really recommend getting some samples, and you can get them from smokingpipes.com or Pipes and Cigars. Just pick up an ounce of a couple of them. That's really the best way to learn about not so much Burleys and Virginias, because they're gonna, you could probably find 20 different blending Virginias, and smoking one of them isn't going to tell you anything. You're not going to smoke them all. So you can learn about Burleys and Virginias from the blends, but the condiment tobaccos, the Periques, the Latakia, the Orientals, I think it's best to get small samples of them and try them on their own. And then once you have a taste for them, you can use them to kind of mix in with other blends and see if you can spice up the blend or whatever. Thank you, '73 Maple Piper. I do enjoy that. Corvette Jim, is that addressed to me? Because if I get a chance to buy that, I'm going to be a happy guy. When I saw you said it was spoken for, I got a little bit crestfallen there. So, oh, that'd be great, Jim. Thank you. Well, Philadelphia Piper, I got emails from Cigar that they are open now, and their lounge is open as well. Eric S., you might be interested in that too. So apparently you can go in there and smoke a cigar. That's as of today. So hopefully the tinderbox is open as well. All right, Monty, good to see you, buddy. Have a good evening. This tamper is one of these, let me see if I can never see it. It's very, very tiny print on it. But it was, I think it's Kamoy. And someone asked me this a couple weeks ago, and I had the same problem. Yes, it's Kamoy. So it's one of these tools. It's got a reamer, a knife, and a pick. jumper down at the end. And it's nice. The only thing I don't like about it is if you got a smaller pipe, this is pretty wide, so it doesn't get all the way to the bottom. So I wind up having to do this a lot. But for this pipe, it's fine. I think it's somewhat old, Christian. I don't know. It's from Sheffield in England, so I don't think Sheffield has been making stainless steel for a while now. Eric, you weren't shut down by our fine governor, huh? Yeah, Kamoy made some good pipes. They're Pipe Smoker 795. Absolutely, PBR Street Gang. Well done, Full Dawdle. Sheffield Machete. That's interesting, Chuck. I'd love to see a picture of that if you have time at some point. I don't want to say I collect old tools because I really don't have very much of a collection, but I do really like old tools, and I'm a member of the Antique Tool Collectors Society, and so I always enjoy that kind of stuff. So while we're calling folks out on their fine video contributions, I wanted to point out that our own moderator Piper Paul put up a video this week that showed his rather extensive musical abilities that I did not know he had. So that was really good to see, Paul. And I may be commissioning you because we're going to need to get a theme song for the virtual pipe club at some point. So let me know if you'd be interested in working on that. Yeah, Uncle John, I'm a member. That's the group I belong to. Sorry for the teasing, Paul. I loved that video. It was great. Yeah, Eric, I don't get a lot of requests for that. A lot of the pipes I work on are already opened, it seems. And I do occasionally get requests for it. Eric was asking about opening airways. I do it on my own pipes. Hey, Tony, the triangle is more difficult than the tambourine, so that's impressive. And PBR Street Gang, you know, we should actually get together a YTPC band and put together a song. I mean, we could do it virtually. On things like triangle and kazoo, I'm not saying a serious. If you guys want to do that and like send me the individual tracks, I'll put them together and I'll make a theme song out of it. Thaggery Cornholio, welcome. You did miss a bunch, but that's okay. Yeah, we would sound like a kindergarten band, Monty. That's true. I'm seriously thinking about doing it, PBR Street Gang. We just need to know what the song is. So if we can come up with a song to play, anybody that wants to play that song on an odd instrument, it can't. If you're a professional musician and you're going to play it on your instrument, that's no good. Yeah, he is good, temper tantrum. Christian, you don't want to see that. I'd need a lot more of the this before I do that. The Gilligan's Island Orchestra. I'm glad I hadn't drunk yet there, PBR Street Gang. That's a good one. Smoke gets in your eyes. That's a great idea. Yeah, and that's slow enough that we might actually be able to pull it off. Oh, Billy, stop. Smoking in the boys' room. That brings back some memories. I don't know what the rules are anymore with kids smoking in school. I mean, we used to when I was in high school, if we were caught smoking just like outside of school, anywhere, if one of our teachers saw us smoking, we got in trouble for that. Zachary, I have not tried owl's head. An accordion. Oh, we got to have an accordion smoking Kentucky Piper. Burning love. Hey, Stephen Lugridge. Thank you, and you have a good evening. Mr. Howell. Big Dave, I know exactly what you're talking about. As you know, I was a big Gilligan's Island fan. Your high school had a student smoking lounge. That's unbelievable. To me, I mean, no, I was in high school a long time ago. I was in high school from 80 to 84. Yeah, it's probably true, Jimmy, which is a shame. You know, I shouldn't say it's a shame. I don't know if high school kids should be smoking anything, but Canadian made Zippo from the old days. I didn't know they made Zippos in Canada, their pipes and bees. Yeah, Jim, she was my favorite. Ah, Chuck, I'm really glad you like that pipe. You had a smoking area at LaSalle, really? I was 79 to 83, so you're a year older. I was in St. John Newman. Oh, Niagara Falls. I get the connection now. Yeah, dress code in public schools. Those days are long gone, Jimmy. We had, so I went to a Catholic high school, and there was all priests and brothers that taught us, and there was one priest that smoked a pipe. And he used to, we used to have, if we needed to use the restroom during class, we'd have to get a little card from the teacher that was called a hall pass, so that we had an explanation as to why we were outside of the classroom. And he used to give you his can of tobacco to take with you. I think it was a big Captain Black can. And yeah, I can remember carrying this thing into the men's room and setting it on the sink to. And it was great because they'd see you walking down the hall and they just ignore you if you had this big can of tobacco with you. So, Pipes and Bees, are you saying that Zippo was originally a Canadian company? That's really fascinating. I had no idea. How old was I when I smoked my first pipe? I would have been in my early 20s, but I don't know exactly. Oh, that's really cool. I had no idea. And I can imagine those would be fairly rare. Zippo was originally a Canadian company. And now, of course, it's headquartered in Bradford, Pennsylvania, I think about 6 hours from where I live. Yeah, I'm laughing at 73 Maple Piper saying he was 14 years old the first time he smoked and he'll never smoke a cherry aromatic again. And boy, so many of us have that story of the bad cherry aromatic blend. I actually smoked cigars before pipes. So I was pretty used to smoking at that point. It wasn't new to me, but I do think I I just got lucky in that I picked Captain Black, the Captain Black white pouch, and it was palatable to me at the time, and I just stuck with that for a couple of years. But I know a lot of guys, and I'm sure you all know a lot of guys that picked up that pouch of cherry or apple tobacco and had a real bad experience. Yeah, Chuck, that's right. It's near the Case Knife Factory. Philadelphia Piper's got some conflicting information here. So Zippo was founded at the Bradford Country Club in the 1930s. No, Tony, I did not serve in the military. Yeah, Everett, we got to check on this. I think all the Canadian guys are trying to co-op Zippo. I'm just teasing you guys. But I'm very interested in trying to sort this out. Seriously, Jimmy, third grade? That's fantastic. My dad was a cigarette smoker, and I used to play with his cigarettes. So they'd often find me sitting there with an unlit cigarette in my mouth, pretending to smoke. Marlboro Reds, yeah. Oh yeah, 73 Maple Piper. I definitely remember those fake cigarette candies and cigars. Do you remember that there was actually a bubblegum cigarette that was wrapped in paper and they, it was that gum that had a like a cornstarch on it, and if you blew on it, you could actually get puffs of smoke out of the thing. They probably are illegal now. Although you do find the mint flavored ones that were all stuck together and you had to break them apart. They still sell those in some like some specialty candy shops, and you could probably find them online somewhere. That's a great story, smoking Kentucky Piper, setting off fireworks with the lit cigarette. Terryton. I remember that brand, Meerschaum Mountaineer. I don't know anyone that smoked it. I'd love to hear that story, Jimmy. That would be great. The truthful Donald. That's far too dangerous for our children. Well, folks, unless you guys have any more burning questions, and I doubt you do, probably got to start winding down for the night. As always, I've thoroughly enjoyed the chat with you guys. I, honestly, I kind of enjoy the solo a bit more because I get to interact with the what's going on in the comments the whole time, and that's fun. It's a lot of fun, but I enjoy the conversations too. So be sure to catch us next Friday for the interview with Jason Mouton. I think it's going to be a really interesting one. Thanks so much, everyone, for spending the time with me. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Sunday morning. Take care, guys.